Hey, I'm Ryan Peters, and the other day I was asked, how do I learn the notes on the guitar fretboard and memorize them? So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly that. We're going to learn about how to do that, some tips and tricks and some easy ways. I'm going to show you 3 different techniques that I use that's going to have you learning the whole neck as soon as possible. People also ask me why you should memorize the neck, and there's a whole bunch of reasons. One of the big ones is speed. When you're playing guitar on stage for yourself, recording a video, you need to have these pieces of information memorized so you can quickly and effectively perform them. By memorizing your notes on the neck, you not only have access to all of the notes, but you also have the basis for playing chords, you also have the basis for starting scales, which helps with speed, with soloing, with playing, with chord playing, with comping, pretty much everything on the guitar. We're going to start by having a look at the musical alphabet. We're going to jump on the piano. Then we're going to break it down. We're going to take some of the fear out of that really big guitar neck and make it a little bit easier and clear some things up. We're then going to go over the 3 different techniques that will help you learn your notes on the neck. Let's go have a look at that now. So here we are at the piano, and we're just going to have a bit of a look at the theory and visualize it before we hop on over to the guitar. I mentioned in my last video that the piano repeats, and the same thing happens with guitar. In total, there are only 12 different notes, or 12 unique notes, and then they repeat in different octaves. So for example, let's have a look at our C note here, then find our next C note up here. Between this note and this note, there are 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then back to C. That means that we only need to learn the names of the 12 notes. However, on the guitar, we still need to memorize where the others are. Looking at the piano as well, we have 5 black notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are called sharps and flats. To complement that, we have 7 white notes, which are called naturals. On the guitar, we can't see where the sharps and the flats are without learning where they are. Just a quick look at those different types of notes. The white notes, or the natural notes, will be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The musical alphabet only goes up to G and then goes back to A. It keeps repeating and gets higher and higher. It stops at G and goes back to A. So as I said, those natural notes are just the letter names by themselves. Where the black notes come in, they are sharps and flats. For example, if we play a C and move to the right of the piano by 1, that will become a C sharp. So every note you move to the right becomes a sharp. For example, F, move to the right, that becomes an F sharp. The 2 notes that don't have a sharp are B, because there is no black note between B and C, and E. There is no black note between E and F. There is no B sharp and there is no E sharp. To complement that, we also have flat notes which move to the left. If we have an A note here, we move to the left, that is A flat. If we have E, we move to the left, that is E flat. There is no C flat because there is no black note between B and C. There is also no F flat because there is no note between F and E. One note can also have the 2 different names. For example, G sharp, this black note here, can also be called A flat, because it is to the right of G and it is also to the left of A. So that's looking at the piano. Now let's hop on the guitar and clear some things up. So now we understand the basics of the musical alphabet. We're going to have a look at the guitar, but we're going to clear a few things up. When you first look at the guitar, it can be pretty daunting. There's 6 strings, there's 22, 23, 24 frets depending on what guitar you've got. That's a lot of different notes that you need to memorize. These tricks that I'm going to teach you now are going to be ways to clear it up and memorize this faster with less stress. The first tip basically chops the guitar neck in half. It allows you to memorize less positions of the note. If we play the open E string, we know that's an E note if you're tuning to standard. If we go up to the 12th fret, we know and we can hear that's the same note, just higher. Open E, 12th fret E. It's the exact same note. And that's the exact same on all 6 strings. So now that we know that, we basically can only worry about this half of the neck because all this is repeated down here. So once we learn positions down here and up this part of the neck, we can use that knowledge to transfer it up there. The second tip, you may have seen people tune the guitar like this, where they go up to the 5th fret, play the 2 strings next to each other. Let me explain that a little bit more. If we go up to the 5th fret on the E string and play that, that is going to be the same note as the open A string below it. So this note, 5th fret E, is the same note as the open A. To the next one, 5th fret of the A string is going to be the same note as the open D. 5th fret D string is going to be the same as the open G. We're just going to skip the G string for a second, go down to the B string. 5th fret B string is the same as open E. The one exception for that is the G string, which you need to play on the 4th fret. So why is that important when you're memorizing the notes on the neck? It's because if you start memorizing the pattern, say on the A string, the first 4 frets, or the first 4 frets in the open string, we can move it up here. And we'll get into that a little bit later. The next tip is a similar one, but instead of playing the 5th fret on the string above, we're going to play the 7th fret on the string below. If we play the 7th fret of the A string, that's going to be the same note as the open string above. 7th fret A string is the same as an open E string. Moving down, 7th fret D string is the same as open A. 7th fret G string is the same as an open D. Just skipping the G and the B strings, going to the E string, the bottom E string. 7th fret E string is the same as open B string. And again, the B and G string are a little bit different, so we have to move up 1 fret. So the 8th fret on the B string is the same as the open G. So the final tip to clear things up a little bit are what's called guitar octaves. And again, it translates to all the strings of the guitar. What an octave is the same note, just moved up. So it's like saying G and G, but one G is higher than the other one, or one G is lower than the other one. For example, we're going to go to the 5th fret on the E string. Then we're going to move down 2 strings. So we go A to D, that's down 2 strings. And we're going to move 2 frets up from our original. So 2 frets up from the 5th is our 7th. So 7th on the D string is also going to be the same note as the 5th on the E. And that pattern is called an octave pattern. And we can move that to different strings. It's the same pattern, 2 strings down, 2 frets across. It's going to be a different note on a different string. Have a look. That's playing on the D and the G string. When we get to that B string, again we have to change our fret. So instead of two down, 2 across, it's 2 down, 3 across. So I'll be playing 5th fret on the D string and then 8th fret on the B string. When we get to the G and the E string, it stays the same. So why is that tip useful? Well, because you know where your starting notes are and you have some reference, the same pattern is going to apply for the position: 2 strings down, 2 frets across, or 2 strings down, 3 frets across. We're going to look at that in a little bit more detail in a second. For learning your notes on the neck, starts off by memorizing your notes across 1 string. This is very important because if you've seen my video on power chords, you'll know that when you're playing not only power chords but any other type of chords, especially bar chords, you need to know where your notes are, especially on the E and the A string. What you can see now on your screen is a neck diagram of all the notes on every single string and every single fret. I'm going to narrow it down now just to the E string, and we can see those notes that look familiar from our piano. If we remember that B and E don't have any sharps and F and C don't have any flats, we can figure out notes on our E string. A quick tip I use to memorize what notes don't have sharps and what notes don't have flats firstly comes from The Simpsons. If you've seen The Simpsons episode with the B sharps, that's a good way to memorize what notes have sharps, because B and E don't. And then I always think of a flat football club. It's an imaginary football club that never have their footballs pumped up and they're always flat. So flat FC, FC don't have flats. If you have another way to memorize it, go ahead, use that. So knowing that our B and E don't have sharps, we can figure out from the semitones where notes are on the E string. You should know that the open note on the top string is an E string because that's what you would tune to. If we play the 1st fret, which is a note directly next to E, we have to think, does an E have a sharp? And it doesn't. So therefore it's the next note in the alphabet. It's an F. So E, open string, F, 1st fret. Moving up to the 2nd fret, think, does an F have a sharp? Yes it does, therefore that's an F sharp. Moving up to the 3rd fret, we think, okay, previous note was a sharp, next one must be a natural, mustn't be a sharp or a flat, and the next note that comes after F in the alphabet is a G. Moving up to the 4th fret, does a G have a sharp? Yes it does, therefore it's G sharp. Moving up to the 5th fret, after G sharp, we have to go to a natural note, and going after G in the alphabet, or the musical alphabet, doesn't go to a H, it goes back to an A. So therefore, 5th fret of the E string is an A. We also know this because our 5th fret is also the same as the fret below it. 5th fret E string, open A string. 6th fret, the fret before it was an A has a sharp, therefore it's an A sharp. Moving up, after A sharp has to be a natural note, and B is the next note in the alphabet. Moving up, B doesn't have a sharp, so therefore it'll be C. Quite naturally, C comes after B in the alphabet. Moving up, C. Does C have a sharp? Yes, therefore it's C sharp. D comes after C in the alphabet. D sharp, because D does have a sharp. And finally E. And that links to our pattern of the 12th fret, how we can halve that. So what I did there seemed pretty easy, but you need to memorize it. My recommendation would be to memorize the natural notes, so not the sharps or not the flats, and that way you'll have an anchor point and you can figure out the sharps or the flats depending on which way the notes go. Just a clarification, if we go to the 5th fret E string, we know that's an A. If we go up to the right or closer to the body, that's turning into an A sharp. But if we go back to the 4th fret, that's going to be an A flat, as we learnt from looking at the piano before. So now that we've found all our notes on the E string, Get them memorized. Focus on one string at a time because that's a very, very vital thing for you to do. Any recommendation is to get the E, A and probably D string memorized because they're going to be very important for your scales and for your chords. I could go through the rest of all of the strings. However, I've taught you a method to do it and you can go ahead and do that yourself. It's really just going to take time. But because you have the patterns and the knowledge of doing this, it's going to be easier for you now. Just one quick tip. The top string here and the bottom string are E. So if you memorize all your notes on the E string, that's already 2 strings done and you've only got 4 to go. Technique 2 to find all your notes on the fretboard is learn them up and down. On your screen again, you can see a full neck diagram of every string and pretty much every fret. What I'm going to do, I'm going to chop that in half and only show from the open string to the 4th fret. What we're going to do now is have a look at those notes within the first 4 frets of the guitar. So basically what we're going to do is learn all the natural notes. We're going to start on E, because that's our open string, go F to G to A to B to C, all the way up to the 3rd fret on that top E string or the bottom E string. Let's have a look now. And you can follow along with your neck diagram if you've taken a photo or have another one printed out. Open string is E, 1st fret is F, 2nd fret is G, open string A is A, 2nd fret is B, 3rd fret is C, open D is D, 2nd fret D is E, 3rd fret D is F, open G is G, 2nd fret G is A, open B is B, 1st fret B is C, 3rd fret B is D, and then we're back to this E string again. So open fret E is E, 1st fret E is F, 3rd fret E is G. When I did that, I might have done that too fast, but what I'm trying to teach you is the knowledge and a method to get this done. I have just shown you there that it's not hard. It's really about sitting down with it, looking at it and playing it, saying it out loud. What I just did there was 17 notes, and it's only the natural notes, because if we have them as a landmark or a point on our fretboard, we can figure out the sharps or the flats. My recommendation for that way is to just sit down with a printout or the image of the neck for those 4 frets and just play the notes, say them out loud, get them in your memory. Play even 2 strings a day. Just focus on that. Take baby steps so you can get up to memorizing the neck up and down. Don't think you're going to get this in a day. It does take time, but if you give yourself a week, you can have that done easily. You could have that done less than a week. The third and final technique is almost like combining the 2 techniques we've learnt and the shortcut tips into one. And what that is recognizing the patterns that you've learnt across the single string and down the 6 strings, and understanding where the other notes are from your octave pattern, which is this, your 5th note and open string pattern, which is this, and your 7th note and open string pattern, which is this. So I'll show you what I mean. So we just played 2 E notes because we know the open string is an E, the top open string, and we know that the 7th fret of the string below it is also an E. So meaning, because we have our notes now memorized on the E string, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, we can move that knowledge up to the 7th fret of the A string. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. We can do that for any point that we know an octave or the 5th or the 7th trick. If we come to the 3rd fret of the E string, we know that's a G because we have our notes memorized across the E string. play our octave pattern, which is 2 strings down, 2 across, we know that that is a G note there. 5th fret of the D string. So, because we've got these 4 notes memorised on the E string, we've got that section there memorised on the D string. G, G sharp, A sharp. So to take that a step further, you can use your knowledge from playing up and down to that now. For example, this is an E note we learnt before, and we have E on the 7th, F on the 8th, G on the 10. It's the same pattern down here, E, F and G. We can then treat like that going down, E, F, G. That means that note there, 7th on the D, is going to be an A. A, B, C. It's the same here, A, B, C. Then we have D, E, F. D, E, F. We're just using our pattern we memorised here, going up and down, and doing that here. And you can do that on any string. It doesn't have to start on the E note. For example, that's a D there. As we know, 5th fret on the string above is the same note as the open string below. They're both D notes. And we know from our D string here, D, E, F, D, E, F, moving down, G, A. Okay, so using all that knowledge that we've just learnt, we can use it in a combined way, and that way have parts of the fretboard open up to us easier. And there you have it. There's a bunch of different ways that are going to help you unlock the fretboard. So we learnt from the piano that we have our musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back to A. Every note has a sharp except B and E. Every note has a flat except F and C. We learnt the tricks on the guitar, our 5th fret trick, our 7th fret trick, and our octave trick to place notes that we already know. And we know that learning our notes on single strings, learning our notes up and down, and combining those to unlock our full potential of the fretboard. We also know that the 12th fret repeats notes after that, so we only have the position of those 12 frets to learn. Remember, we also have the pair of E strings, so we're really only learning 5 different strings. My advice now would be to take it slow. Set goals in a realistic time frame. For example, say you're going to learn and memorise 1 string in 1 week. Don't rush this. It is really, really important that you have a quality understanding and not going to be something that you forget when you don't use. If you've liked this video and want to check out more similar to this or hear my music, check out some other videos on my YouTube. Also in my description, I've got a link tree which links my website, my SoundCloud, my TikTok, my Instagram and Facebook. I'd really appreciate it if you check those out. Give me a like, give me a follow, or give me a subscribe. Cheers.